Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get airborne for our options weapons school. Awesome, fired up. A lot of stuff to cover in the next essentially 3 days, right? We're going to do welcome aboard brief tonight. We're going to do some live trading over the next couple days. We're going to wrap up on Wednesday. So welcome aboard. Like I said, I'm extremely fired up, man. It is an awesome time to be learning how to trade options, or if you already trade equity options, to make yourself better, just like the name implies. At Top Gun, if you thought you were good, they made you better. They certainly made me better. Let me get a quick roll call because I like to gauge, exactly where my presentation, my welcome aboard brief is going to go tonight. Because obviously it's after market close. I don't like, and I do that for a reason, because when the market's open, you necessarily aren't listening about my background or the background of Top Gun options. How many of you, just give me an N down there in the chat box on the lower right if you're new. This is the first time you're hearing about TGO or Top Gun options. And excuse me while I put my cheaters on here. Great, okay. Peter, Bob, Robert, Stephen, John, Mike, Agnes, awesome. Okay, Virginia, Robert, Gerald, awesome. This is great, folks. A ton of new folks. Last time I checked before on GoToWebinar, as soon as I got airborne here, welcome aboard, Randy, Jaman, Raphael. Good, welcome aboard, man. This is all right. So I know how much to do and where to go. Now let's get a response. So for all the folks that are new, what is your, let's do BIA, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Beginner means, hey, Wiz, I'm like one of your Marine buddies. I can't even spell the word options, all the way up to advanced that I know what a strangler or a straddle is. Let me take a look here. Mixture of A's, a lot of I's. Perfect. This is awesome, man. It's exactly what I expected. Okay, awesome, Patrick. Okay, Frank, beginner. Great. Hey, folks, I wasn't hatched an options trader, and we're going to get into my biography and why you're sitting here tonight, because this is, it's when, as I tell you about my background, sometimes I step out of myself and look at it, and sometimes it's a little bit unbelievable, but I'm sitting here as living evidence. I didn't know how to spell the word options, and here I am. Final question, and we'll get interactive throughout the night. I'll ask you more questions, but where are you right now? Give me a bullish, bearish, or neutral for the rest of the year. How do you think the rest of 2018 is going to go here? Let me see some of these answers. Volatile, okay, Virginia, yep. Neutral, Raul, Al, volatile, Sue, sideways. I like that one, Dave. That's an interesting one. Okay, cautiously bullish. That one's good. Rob, don't know. Okay, good. Virginia, bearish. Good news is bad. Okay. Bullish, but possible crash. There you go, Rick. Rick likes flying around with an ejection seat. Peter, drunk. Okay. All right. No clue. All right, Keith. And you know what, folks? Here's the right answer. You're right. Every answer that you just gave me was right. Now, if you feel like, listen to me. What was it? A couple months ago, Morgan Stanley said we're going to crash and hit the 200-day moving average. BlackRock said Morgan Stanley must be smoking crack. We're going to have another rip your face off rally like 2017. Here's the right answer. Every one of you are right, and can be right at different times in the market. And if you feel like this looking at the market, you're in the right place, because I'm going to boil this down to basics, folks. Okay, I'm no rocket surgeon. All right, I was born and raised in South Jersey, outside of Philadelphia, one of six kind of middle lower class Irish Catholic kids. And this was never my expertise. So I'm going to tell you about my background in a little bit. You got it, Mark. Hell yeah, I'm bullish on Raytheon and ExxonMobil. Mark's a member here, and he knows we are printing money in Raytheon and ExxonMobil. We're gonna get to that. Salim, you're exactly right. Hey, man, I got to adjust to information as it comes in so I can adjust my tactics. That's exactly right, Salim. When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like nails, folks. So I'm going to teach you different tactics and how to fly around this market. And so why should you listen to me? And obviously, a lot of you who put an N in there as to new, I appreciate you coming. That means some of my strategic partners sent out a couple emails on my behalf and said, "Hey, you should go listen to this guy. Here's why you should listen to me." And I'm gonna give you a couple reasons. This one's pretty cool. This literally was a career call for me. Could have made it or broke it. To be honest with you, I was one of the only financial professionals, and you can count them on one hand, right? One hand. Jeffrey Gunlock, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, he manages Double Line Capital out there in Los Angeles. I think they have about, 90 to $100 billion assets under management, and about 2 or 3 other hedge fund managers. What did we predict? We predicted this. Not Dewey defeats Truman, but we predicted that Donald Trump was not only going to be elected president, but we were going to see a rip your face off market rally. Absolutely nailed it. How did I know that? Well, as you're going to hear in a couple minutes, I was traveling around the United States, folks. I also give keynote speeches about my time flying fighter jets in the military and how to apply it to the business world. I was talking to real people. Imagine that, right? Not pollsters. And after a keynote, like in Vegas or something like that, people would come up to me and say, hey, I'm voting for Trump, almost in a whisper, like they were scared that if somebody heard them, they were going to get hit in the head with a shovel. So I knew the polls were lying to us, shocker. I knew the media was already in the tank, shocker, as they have been for decades, and that a guy from New York who's a real estate developer, and we're going to talk politics, folks. So if I'm already starting to annoy you a little bit, I strongly recommend you leave now and save your time, because politics drives the markets. Love or hate the guy, this is a Trump-driven market. Some of it. We'll talk about what happened in January, but folks, that was a career call. And how good of a career call was it? Take a look at this, folks. Before the election, what did I do? We got long financials. I said, folks, it is time to load the boat on Goldman Sachs. Not only is Donald Trump going to win, remember do you guys remember 2 days before the election? Does anybody remember what Citigroup predicted? What did Citigroup say? Tamara, join Wiz because he is Nostradamus. I appreciate that. That's exactly right, folks. A lot of you remember Citi 2 days before the election said not only does Hillary win, but if Trump wins, the market and the economy will crash. This is the smart money, folks. Jamie Dimon, Lloyd Blankfein, all these so-called smart folks predicted the exact opposite of what happened. They ain't the smart money, folks. Not necessarily saying I am. I used my thinking brain. But look at what some of our members did, folks. This is one Goldman Sachs trade. At its highest point, Mike was up. This is one trade, folks. He was up $150,000. Now I didn't. Where's he say it? 20. He had 20 right here. 20 contracts Mike had. I only did 5, folks. The model portfolios I'm going to introduce you to over the next couple of days are based on $100,000 model portfolios. Wiz, I got $1,000. We have 2 billionaires here who shall remain nameless. Of course, they have people who manage their own money, but they let's say we get along nicely. But look at this, Mike. 150 grand at its highest point. He had 20 contracts. I had 5. Al at one point was up 6. Harry down here, 60. Tom, this was absolutely incredible, this epic call. And I forget Diane. I don't know if you're in here right now. Diane was up nearly 6 digits as well. This is absolutely was a career call. That's one of the reasons you should listen to me. And I get it. What have you done for me lately? I'm going to tell you what I've done lately, folks, and we've nailed it as well. So this stock market, even though it's been volatile, folks, is going to go higher. It ain't going to be, well, it's going to be fun for us here at TGO, at Top Gun Options. Us trading this market, it's going to be extremely fun, because I'm going to teach you why it should be fun. Last year, folks, the S&P 500 was up 22%. Our average model portfolio was up 110%. That is, so the market had a rip your face off rally. We did even better. So here's what, and you know what? Here's what's funny, because I got to show you some of the smart money here. Let's take a look at this real quick. Does everybody know who Bill Ackman is? He's always on Comedy Central, right? I got to remember, I call CNBC Comedy Central, right? It's worth just about as much as far as the entertainment. Bill Ackman, exactly. He's a loser. Okay, I'll leave it at that. He's a billionaire loser, but folks, look, he sent out a letter at the beginning of the year, or actually a couple months ago, that says, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's been a horrible 3 years." Folks, you could waste, exactly, Kathy, you could waste 2 and 20, right? A 2% management fee and 20% of the upside. But you don't have to. Look at, you know who David Einhorn is? He runs Greenlight Capital. Look at how he did last year. And folks, the decimal point isn't wrong here. You know what they did last year at Greenlight Capital? You ready? 1.6% in the Q4, but look at their let me erase this so you guys, let me get the yellow out of the way. You ready? There was their 2017 return, 1.6%. Folks, this is the smart money, right? This is our worst portfolio, if I can use the word worst. Accelerated retirement eked over, what was it, 100? I'll show you in a couple slides, 101 or 102% return on risk. There's your smart money, folks. Apologizing for how much they sucked in 2017. It's comical, folks. We had an absolute blast. What did we also predict recently? Did everybody live through January? Hopefully we don't have any newborns in here. Everybody remember the rip your face off rally in January? You'll get that when you become a member, you're going to get access to all this stuff. But what did I say? And I love when my current members show up for a new welcome aboard brief. The fact that you guys are in here, it humbles me. It's awesome. We said the second week in February is going to suck. First of all, after everybody gets over the Eagles hangover in Philadelphia, go Eagles, I said the market is going to pull back. It's volatile. February sucks anyway. It's a crappy month. People hate Valentine's Day. There's no more football. I rattled off a bunch of reasons, but I also said there is you ready for this, folks? There was $8 billion. That's a B, folks, even though it looks scary, in short volatility trades. What does that mean? If you don't even know what volatility was or is, you found the right place. Oh. I love how E-Trade times out my platform. Tamara, you got to remind me again how to keep that from timing out. So volatility, folks, whenever you hear me this week or until Wednesday when we close the doors, hear me say the word volatility, just replace it with uncertainty. If you're sitting here going, hey, Wiz, I don't even know what a call or a put is, don't worry about it. I'm going to teach you all that stuff in your 8 training sessions. So let's take a look at what is called the VIX real quick, the volatility index. We're going to talk about Facebook. So look at this. Last year, you see this? This is the VIX. This is the fear index is what they call it, right? When something happens to creep the market the hell out, the VIX spikes. But ladies and gentlemen, look at this. This is a heart rate monitor. So last year, if you know anything about investing, or you went to cocktail parties where people usually boast about this stuff, what happened? People were short volatility. Look at this. There was so much stuff going on in the world. I was shocked that volatility was this low. I'm going to give you so many wizisms in the next couple days. You need to, thank you, Tamara. Volatility equals money at TGO. Here's a wizism for you. You ready? When volatility is cheap, you buy it. When volatility is expensive, when it spikes, you sell it, right? But look at this. Nothing was going on volatility-wise, right? So people shorted it. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. And we predicted this, like I said, right here, folks. Here's this January rip your face off rally. Cats and dogs living together. Peace, love, and understanding broke out. Right around here when we got hypoxic, this was when the new Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, who's going to be one of our buddies in 2018, because he's going to raise interest rates, and that's going to help our financial trades. There was a hiccup. Remember, when you're short something, if you don't understand shorting something, let me give you Navy political science major cavemanish. You actually borrow shares in anticipation of the stock going out and you replacing them at a lower price. Therefore, let me go over here. If you short something, you want it to go down. If it actually goes up, you start losing a boatload of money in the blink of an eye. So you actually have to go buy back what you shorted. So we'll let that sink in and we'll talk about it when you become a member. So volatility exploded and went through the roof. So look at this. Here's the S&P 500, and oh my God, the world's going to end. Everybody keep that picture in your mind right now, okay? So now let's go back to the VIX real quick. Peace, love, and understanding, rip your face off rally. Oh my God, we're all going to die. The volatility went through the roof. We absolutely predicted that. And if that looks like a scary chart, folks, we had a blast. What did I say? I said everybody who is short volatility is running around wearing a cape. I'm short volatility guy. I sound cool at a cocktail party, but they're picking up dimes in front of a steamroller. Eventually, their cape was going to get caught, man, and it did. And they got wiped out. I said, this is not the Fred Sanford. Everybody, I think we're all old enough in here to remember Fred Sanford, right? Sanford and Sonny. Once an episode, the guy would always grab his chest and, this is the big one. I'm coming, Elizabeth. It never was. Well, I guess it was. I was wrong. But this one was not the Fred Sanford, right? So I also said, look at this right here. I said, this is an old slide. That's why I'm showing you this. This is trench warfare. The blue line right here, folks, is the 50-day moving average. The red down here is the 200-day moving average. What did I say? The market, this is World War I, man. Remember, there's the Americans and the Allies, and there's the Germans. Nobody wanted to be out in the middle of no man's land, and the market doesn't either. So if this looks like pain, look at what we did. We have a 92% win rate. That means 92% of our trades are profitable, or at least break even. We're up 68% year to date across the 4 average portfolios, and that's about 105 notional granted profit. So if this looks ugly and you've been sitting on your hands, welcome home or welcome aboard, because we're gonna show you how to fly and fight in this market, because it is a good time. Okay. BG, how are you able to predict? And folks, just to be sure, we have, like I said, a couple thousand people registered for this. We keep our live trade briefs very small. Our membership, that's why we only do this a couple times a year, because I can't have in a live trade brief like you're going to see tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I can't have a zoo. As a good instructor, you never leave the room with anybody with a question mark over their head or a clue bird flapping on their shoulder. So I'm not ignoring some of your questions or comments. I'll probably hit some at the end, but I'll stop for good ones. BG, how are you able to predict the trend better than the smart money? BG, I'm going to answer that throughout tonight and every live trade brief since. It's a multitude of factors. It's looking at volatility, right? Looking at volatility, it's using your thinking brain. It's looking at politics. It's looking at technicals. It's looking at everything. And I'm going to teach you how to do all of this stuff, folks. Remember, politics drives the markets. The only pullback in the past 2 or 3 years has that wasn't political was that short volatility trade. Remember this, and this seems like a lifetime ago. Everybody remember last year, the infamous Jim Comey memo? It was a Thursday afternoon. Comey leaks the memos. Oh my God, Donald Trump's going to get impeached. Market's off 400 points. Everybody remember Donald Trump sitting in his golf course up in New Jersey. I'm going to rain fire and fury down on North Korea. I'm going to kill 25 million people. Essentially, is what this guy said. Market spiked, or volatility spiked, and the market went down. Every one of those dips were a buying opportunity. Okay, so let me give any potential snowflakes out there. And I saw a couple anti-Trump comments. Let me tell you guys something. I ain't a Democrat. My parents were John F. Kennedy Catholic Democrats. I'm a recovering Republican. I'm a libertarian. I don't care necessarily for the guy personally, but some of the not necessarily the politics, I'm talking about the policies, are phenomenal. So look at David. David's been a member for years. He's like, dude, I hate your politics, but I love the way you print money. If I didn't trade what I believed or what's going on, I'd be broke. I'd be on the exit ramp at I-95 with a sign begging for food. That doesn't happen. Okay, so whoever said Captain Bone Spurs, you ain't going to get any argument from me. So this is just a trigger warning, okay? Because usually by day 1 or day 2, somebody peels off, out of the comment box like, I can't stand any of this. This is your warning to head out now if you don't want to hear any of that stuff. I'm going to tell you that I wear 2 suits at Top Gun Options, okay? Figuratively, right? a flight suit. I'm going to tell you how I feel about a trade as an American, as this and all that stuff. And then I'm going to tell you how I feel about a trade. And I say my Gordon Gekko, $6,000 Armani suit. I do not have a $6,000 Armani suit. If I did, I'd kick my own butt. I'm going to tell you how I feel as Gordon Gekko. Let me give you a perfect example of a Gordon Gekko moment recently at TGO. Does everybody remember the tragedy at the Mandalay Bay? It's weird. You should, but for some reason, we know more about the Parkland shooter down here in South Florida than we do the. But everybody remember this moment right here? Absolute national tragedy. Guy guns down a bunch of people from Mandalay Bay. Stock implodes 5%. What did we do? This was a Gordon Gekko moment. I waited a couple days. We did a January 20. MGM ain't going out of business, folks. Yeah, they're going to have a lot of lawsuits on that tragedy, all sorts of stuff. That's also why you have insurance companies. But this was I called it a Gordon Gekko moment, right? Wearing my flight suit, I'm like, holy crap, man. We mourned, we talked. But at the end of the day, man, as a portfolio manager, it's my job to make money or to show people how to potentially make money. So we got long. It's called a long call diagonal. Folks, we can check this out. Here's an options chain, right? And I'll teach you what options are. You can hop in your time machine and go all the way out here to January, a couple years from now, and get bullish on a company. Or check this out. You can hop in your time machine and go all the way out in time and get bearish on a company. Facebook, Tesla, Twitter, which we'll talk about as well. Those folks are in trouble. Absolutely in trouble. So so I have Gordon Gekko moments, folks, where here's another. Let's stay in the sin stocks. We were in a live trade brief when breaking news: Steve Wynn is like Harvey Weinstein, accused of blah blah. We were in a live trade brief, folks. We pounded the hell out of Wynn into the dirt. Then we did what? After it leveled off here, we got bullish. I said, the guy's got to resign. There's no way his name's on the top of the one casino. He can't stay as the skipper. 3 days after we put a bullish trade on, the guy resigns, max profit. So there was $2,500 there. There was $2,200 there. And then what happened? It got into a range, right? What the hell's going to go on with Wynn? We traded what are called iron condors. If you think a stock or an ETF is going to be range bound, staying between, it's going to move around, but I think it's going to stay between here. It's called an iron condor. So here's another example of a Gordon Gekko moment where something bad or good happens to a company and I jump in it. Exactly. And we'll talk about my term Captain Kirk. There are some trades that I have on that are Captain Kirk trades, right? We're boldly going where nobody's going on tonight. So real quick, what I'm not going to get tonight, and I'm so glad that we have an educated crowd because I haven't gotten the old dreaded, okay, 20 minutes in, I don't even know what there's no trades, I'm out of here. And it's funny because I usually boot those people as soon as they say that. But nobody said that, so that's great. Because tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we're going to be live and in the market. Before you ask, everything's recorded. All 4 or 5 sessions that I'm doing this week, every one of those is going to be recorded and put on a replay page. So if you can't attend any of the briefs, I'm going to hook you up with the replay. What are we going to talk about tonight? The flight schedule for the week, intro to Top Gun options, our performance year to date, which I kind of hit on, and also 2017. It was epic. And I'm the guy who shows up, skiing or surfing, and people are like, oh my God, you should have been here yesterday. There was 20 feet of powder and the waves were 8 feet. Well, that sucks. I'm here today. Our 2018 is going to be even better than 2018. I'm going to talk you through our trading and training methodology. Now, there's a reason this word is like this, folks. We don't educate. The world is full of educated derelicts, to steal half a Calvin Coolidge quote, right? Look at a professor at Fresno State, or look at what's going on in some of our universities and colleges, folks. Education, right? Training gives you a skill. I'm going to train you how to trade equity options. Training. Plumbers how many of you have had a buddy go, I'm not calling a plumber, I can figure this out. Plumbers do it. The famous last words, plumbers do it. Plumbers are trained, fighter pilots are trained, doctors are trained, attorneys are trained. Training gives you a skill, education, gives you a Twitter account where you can call the death of Mrs. Bush, something great. It's embarrassing. I'm going to teach you, time permitting, an acronym called Not Fear 2018. And if there's time, maybe an actionable trade. I doubt it. This is also why you need to either watch all the replays or attend, folks. I'm going to teach you a top secret tactic. This is called a trudge. Now you guys know when you place a trade, Wiz, I'm familiar with trading. I want to make money when I trade. Duh. Got it. Welcome to Top Gun Options 101. But also, I need to learn how to hedge. Ladies and gentlemen, I never flew over Iraq without what? An ejection seat, man. I never walked down to maintenance control and the chief said, "Hey, sir, you have aircraft 200. By the way, it doesn't have an ejection seat. You good with that?" What am I, mental? Of course not. So there is a tactic that I'm going to teach you that, you know what, Wiz, I want to make money on this, and it's also going to serve as a hedge in case something goes wrong. It's called a trudge, man, and that's our word here at TGO. One of the tactics I'm going to teach you this week. I'm looking forward to it. Dude, how'd you get here? Folks, like I said, grew up in South Jersey, South Philly. I was always taught service above self. Grew up on the Jersey Shore, not the MTV Jersey Shore, like the real Jersey Shore outside of Atlantic City. Loved the ocean. I loved aviation. Grew up across the street from an F-106 Air National Guard pilot. This guy was larger than life. He flew for the Eastern Airlines too. Loved my country, loved the ocean, loved aviation. So there it was, the United States Navy. But growing up, I sat across the breakfast table from my dad in his coat and tie. He was an investigator for a law firm in Atlantic City, and he'd sit there and read the paper, and on the back of it there was all those hieroglyphics, right? All those weird things. And Dad, I don't get it. He's like, and he just taught me, that much about finance, and it sparked curiosity. Well, son, that's MCD is McDonald's, and that's the stock price and the share. And if you go for your Happy Meal today, the stock might go up price. Mouse eats the cheese, the rocket fires. I was always hooked, right? So what happened? Went to school down here in Florida, wanted to fly jets, just like Richard Gere and Officer and Gentleman. I want to fly jets. My grandmama wants to fly jets. Was lucky enough to be selected to fly jets, fighter jets for the Navy, F-18s. I got stationed out in beautiful Lemoore, California. And if you know anything about California, you know I'm joking. Although the Central Valley, I love great Americans. I started to trade stocks, right? Wife at the time, I think she kept Ann Taylor in business, and I paid the American Express bill. What were the two stocks that I bought? Ann Taylor and American Express, right? I bought what I knew. I had a buddy who was a financial planner before he came into the Navy. He's like, "Wiz, you trade stocks?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. I'm Gordon Gekko." He's like, "Dude, why aren't you trading options?" I have no idea what an option is. Short story long, took me to lunch at the Officers Club. I bought him lunch, and changed my life. I haven't traded a single. I haven't owned a share except in weird circumstances, and I've been doing this for a quarter of a century, folks. But why? Why? Here's my success. Everything I learned flying fighter aircraft, I applied to training, having a strategy, implementing a tactic, being disciplined, contingency planning, asking what could go wrong in this trade before it goes wrong. Folks, the time for me to figure out what I'm going to do if I get shot at by a missile over Syria ain't when I'm getting shot at by a missile over Syria. I already sat in a chair on board the aircraft carrier, sipping on my venti upside down caramel macchiato, and I already mentally thought through those things. I applied it to my trading, folks, and it worked incredibly well, right? So here's short story long. Like I said, this was started out of a tragedy. Top Gun Options, I guess fortunately, well, unfortunately for a lot of people, was started out of a tragedy. Here's what happened. I got luckily I got picked up out of active duty to fly F-18 Hornets for the reserves, Naval Reserve out of Naval Air Station Fort Worth. Got hired by American Airlines based in Fort Worth, and the morning of September 11th was supposed to be my first flight as a pilot for American Airlines. Heard that the plane hit the World Trade Center. I'm like, all right, some idiot in bad weather, small airplane. Nope. Went out, looked at the TV, and I saw it was a beautiful day and a big hole. And then all of a sudden, as I'm going through my mental aviation checklist of how the hell that could have happened, boom, I immediately knew we were under attack. Didn't even hesitate. I ran into the bedroom, it's in the guest room. I have my American Airlines uniform still in its plastic from the tailor. Grabbed my flight suit, put my boots on, and did about 150 miles an hour out to Naval Air Station Fort Worth. I got out there just as they closed it. Met with 4 of the F-16 pilots from the Texas Air National Guard that flew F-16s, and hooked into NORAD. One of my other buddies, who was a Hornet guy with me, and we briefed over at the Air Force Place in their secure command post, and we watched the Pentagon hit on the TV. So in the blink of an eye, I got furloughed like a couple days later. When I got hired by American Airlines, I had a letter on color stationery with the chief pilot signature, Dear Matthew, welcome aboard. October 1st, 2001, I got a photocopied letter from American Airlines HR that said what? You're furloughed. So what happened, man? I had a young wife. I had a young son who was 8 months old. I lost everything in the blink of an eye, right? Lost everything, folks. So what did I have to do? I had to start scrambling to feed and pay my mortgage. So I threw my attention full time into what really up until that point it was kind of drinking money and having fun and all that type of stuff, trading. I never really thought about it, but I was pretty damn good because of my returns. So I said, you know what, let's go. I threw myself trading full time. And here's what's really, really, really cool. Thank you, Peter. I look better now. I feel a hell of a lot older. Here's what's really cool is I started to do, in addition to applying my fighter pilot methodologies to trading, I applied it to business. I started flying around the country, literally around the world, Australia, China, Brazil. And I wrote a book, From Sea Level to Sea Level, about all of this stuff. What happened? I popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms in the world, equity options vol arb firm. If that sounds confusing, it ain't, folks. See these big, beautiful windows here? This is the Chicago Board of Trade, intersection of Jackson and LaSalle, and this was called Peak 6 Investments. That was us right there, man. Beautiful. So I got phone call that changed my life. That said, hey, man, what are you doing? Well, this is what I do. Well, come do it for us. While I was there, I helped start a hedge fund. We also I helped build a retail brokerage, many of you know as Options House, and just had an absolute blast. And I'll be honest with you, folks, I felt like Eddie Murphy, Valentine in Trading Places, just little old me up here in the big city. Then what did I do? I was so my title formally at Peak 6 was Managing Director of Strategy. And at the time, we were about a $2.5 billion firm. When I started with that firm, it was, mom and pop, actually husband and wife, great couple. And how did I end? I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV. Many of you, if you traded options like 2006 through 10, you remember the Options News Network. We were essentially the CNBC for options. I had an absolute blast, folks. I was a host of a couple of shows. We used to shoot on the floor of the CBO and the CBOT, and I just had an absolute blast. But anybody, here's the audience interaction part. Anybody from Chicago in the webinar or up there? I know, Tamara, you're up in Wisconsin or something, right? No offense. People in the Midwest are great. Chicago people are awesome. But I'm a beach guy. Dee, Raphael. Okay. We moved down here to South Florida, man. If you can trade from anywhere, I'm going to do it from someplace warm. Okay. So that's how essentially I went from the cockpit to the trading pit. Okay. Any questions? Thank you. I appreciate that. It was an honor. 15 years, 10 years on active duty, 5 years in the reserves. And it was during that time, I buried 10 of the finest men you'd ever want to meet, and one of the finest women you'd ever want to meet. The first female naval fighter pilot, Kara Holtgreen, died when I was in my first fleet tour. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. But now that you know, because if you ever come to one of these things, folks, I play. I'm not an idiot, man. It might appear that way, but I go play secret shopper and look around the financial training space, and I'm stunned, man. Hey, I'm Steve. Here's a little bit about me, and now here's a straddle on Google. and people jump into the stuff. I don't even know who Steve is, and I don't even know what a straddle is. And they airdrop you into, Afghanistan essentially with a rifle and say good luck and don't look back. You bet, man. I appreciate the kind words, guys. So Top Gun options, year number 8. We've been here for 8 years teaching literally thousands. Probably, I haven't done the math, folks. We did 1,000 probably in the first year, trained 1,000. We're up there, man. I'll write that down later. Literally, all experience levels, folks. Like I said, if you don't know what a call or a put is, you're home. If you're trading reverse straddle covered calls with a Jedi twist, I made that up, you're home too. Okay, so all experience levels. Everything I'm going to teach you is combat tested and Wall Street proven. You don't have to be. Sometimes, let me look in the chat box. Sometimes people are like, I wasn't in the military. Am I lost here? No, absolutely. All skill levels. John, that's right. You have Anzac Day. John, you're down in Australia. Let me scroll up a little bit. Graham is down there in Australia as well. Graham, where are you in Australia? So we have a lot of Aussies down here, folks. You ready for this? We have 38 countries represented. We have people in China. I got buddies in Afghanistan. We have Dubai. Here's why you're going to be successful. We do what's called a demo do. Graham's in Sydney. John, where are you? So I'll hook you guys up. So I'm going to demonstrate something, and then you should go do. Folks, I didn't read a book on aerodynamics and run out to the flight line and go fly an F-18 and try and get airborne. That's how you get killed. That's called stupid, and you die. So I'm going to demonstrate things, and then here's what you do. I'm going to brief you on how to do a loop. You already read about how to do a loop, right? You're going to get a bunch of stuff. I'm going to brief you how to do a loop. Then we're going to get a 2-seat F-18 paper trading, and I'm going to show you how to do a loop. So after you read about it, I briefed you, and then I showed you, now it's time for you to do it. This is why the military and military aviation works, folks, is we demo do. I'm going to demonstrate, and then you're going to do. And you're going to do it safely. John is in Brisbane. Okay, so we got hopefully some more. So you and Graham down there. So our 2017 performance, folks, was redonkulous. It was ridiculous, folks. Why? Because, like I said, I made a career call. I said, not only is the guy going to win, the market's going to wake up that the dude wants tax, everything, folks. I'm not going to relive the election. If you relive the election mentally and you use your thinking brain, you knew that's what was going to happen. Did you want 8 more years of what we were doing? And the economy and the Obama, as a small business, folks, and the business consulting I did, companies were dying under Obamacare. They were, instead of giving people 40-hour work weeks, they were going down to 29. So sorry, Mrs. Smith, we can't afford your health care. Now you're slashed to 29 hours. I got to go work at Starbucks. Yeah, it was it was bad. Smart money didn't do so good. So here's 2017. This was epic, 125% return on risk. And again, folks, these are based on $100,000 initial model portfolios, okay, 100K. I'm going to show you that, hey, we have what's called an SOP, standard operating procedure, right? This is how we trade, or this is how I trade. You're going to make your own SOP eventually after watching me. For example, one of my rules of engagement, right, in my SOP is I don't want to risk more than 5% of my portfolio on any one trade. What would that be, Wiz? All right, for all the political science majors, that's $5,000. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you why tomorrow in our live trading session. But you don't want to go one. You know what I've been doing? I forgot, guys. We're in go-to webinar, and you guys can't see everybody's chat. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to start showing some of my member comments here. So there you go. Look at what, I appreciate that, Mila. Look at that. Mila, I am making a career call being trained by TGO. That's awesome, man. There was a lot of, and Tamara, you had some good comments too. I appreciate that. So, but like I said, I don't want to drag on all night and show all your nice comments from my current members. Maybe we'll do that at the end. Weekly options. So weekly options portfolio, folks, is very, very tactical. We have a weekly options live trade brief every Monday. Last Monday, we put on a bull put spread on Amazon. We were risking, well, men lie, numbers don't. So let's take a look. Weekly options is a very tactical. They come out. They expire every Friday, so this is very tactical trading. But I send out text alerts and all sorts of stuff. Let's go into the weekly options. Look at what we did in one day on Amazon. So here's the last week's brief, and everything's recorded, right? So this is actually the member area, the member page, and I'm going to do these sessions live in front of you. But look at this. This time last week, we put on a bull put spread on Amazon. We sold the 14, that was Friday, the April 35 of the April 18, 1425 puts. Okay. And as a hedge, in case I was wrong, I bought these puts in case it went down. If I just lost you right there, don't worry about it. I know you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, but remember that you walk into flight school in Pensacola, Florida, looking up at F-18s like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And 6 months later, you got wings of gold on your chest, and you're flying off the pointy end of an aircraft carrier. That same system is how I'm going to train you. But take a look at the metrics of this trade. You ready? We were risking about $6,100 if everything went to hell in a handbasket last week. Jeff Bezos, breaking news Tuesday morning, Jeff Bezos is the Antichrist. He took off his mask and he's literally the devil, and the stock went to zero. The most we could have lost on that trade was $6,100. That's a little north of my $5,000. I'm telling you right now, duh. But I'm going to tell you why I went a little north of that. Look at how much our potential profit for last week in one trade was. $2,600 in 1 week. When we placed this trade last Monday, they're using what we call at the money volatility, which I'll teach you. There was a 66% probability of at least of making that profit. And look at this, about as much of a probability as of breaking even. Let's go to the tape. What happened with Amazon last week? Okay, so I'm telling you about weekly options because this will be a service you can subscribe to if you want to. Let's do 20 days. Last Monday was what? The 16th. Where's the 16th? There we are, folks. Whoa, let me get rid of this. Here's last Monday, folks. There's the weekly options brief. Look at by Friday what Amazon, within a day, folks. This is Monday. Everybody see this? 4/16. This was, I sent out our text alert. What happened by Tuesday? Tuesday morning, we wake up, the stock was up 4%, and the rest of the week was insane. I'm not going to take up too much airtime as to why, but folks, in one day, Tuesday morning, I sent out a text alert that said what? Close the Amazon bull put spread for, what was it? It was like an 87% profit. I think it was like $2,100. We made $2,100 in 1 day. Now, I just told you, tongue in cheek, the exact opposite could have happened too. Hey, breaking news, Jeff Bezos is the Antichrist, the stock's at zero, and we lose 6. That doesn't happen that often, folks, like I said. But here's a perfect example of our weekly options service real quick. And I show you that because I was showing you the weekly options returns from 2017. But this very tactical trading, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. And finally, like I said, this is my embarrassing portfolio. If I had to write a letter at the end of the year, which I don't, like David Einhorn or Ackman, look at Ackman did David Einhorn, 1.6%. You literally could have made more money with that sitting in your couch under your cushions. So this was our and it makes sense, folks, right? This is our conservative portfolio, accelerated retirement. Does everybody see this down here? There's red, because I'm going to talk bad, okay? We have fun. We do well. We absolutely have losing trades. Like I said, I go play secret shopper at some of these type of, we never have losing, that's whatever, man. There are losing battles, folks. The objective is to win the war, whatever your war is. Wiz, I want to save. I got a 17-year-old. I think he was walking around in his underwear, which I have to debrief him on. So I apologize for that. But he's going to college next year. Wiz, I want to pay for college. I want to retire early. Short-term income generation. I want to buy a boat in 6 months. Whatever your war is, obviously, there's going to be some losing battles, man. Losing trades happen. Okay? You bet, Michael. And like I said, if Mike's got to bail out early, this is recorded. Everything's going to be recorded throughout the week. And I'm going to cover the flight schedule here in a couple minutes. If you If you forget what's on the flight schedule, obviously the page where you opted in, folks, right here has everything we're doing right here. We're doing our welcome aboard brief tomorrow at 1 o'clock, primary live trade brief. Tuesday night, tomorrow night this time, I'm going to show you some training. And then Wednesday, we're going to do that weekly options brief like I just talked about. So Mike, no worries. Everything's recorded, my friend. But let me channel. I love seeing this answer. So let me get my cheaters back on here. You ready for this? Current TGO members, don't answer this, please, because I know you know the answer. Let me see the new folks. Let me see your answer to this. New folks, what percentage of the time do you think a professional trader wants to win, wants to have profitable trades? Ready, go. Let me see your answers here. Professional trader, 51%, Kathy. John, 60, at least 50, DD. PG, oh man, 90, 60, 68, 50, 40, 50 or less. Oof, 30%, 40%, 30, 30. Agnes, Walter, Kathy, 68, Mike, 35. Gautam, 60%. Okay, Joe, 55. Irv, 79. Drew Johnson is 40. John's a 60. Okay, you ready, folks? In my quarter of a century doing this, professional traders, you ready for this? This is going to be shocking. Shoot to be profitable 60% of the time. Think about this. It ain't 51. You could shoot for 51. It's going to take you years to be profitable. That means 49% of the time you're losing money. 60% of the time. That's what most studies say. Professional traders shoot for 60%. Ladies and gentlemen, our average year to date is back up to the low 90s. I think it was, what did I say, 92? We were for a while there holding my career average, folks, is 70. I'm not shooting for 60. No thanks. I shoot for a 70. My 25-year average, folks, is 74%. So 26% of the time, folks, listen to me. So you ready for the? Oh, okay, Chris, no worries. And I'm just having fun with that. If you feel like you got it wrong, don't worry about it. Let me channel my inner Rumsfeld here. I couldn't stand the guy, but he had a great quote. You ready for this? What did he say about combat? And as you've seen in some of my writing or some of my videos, trading is a form of combat, right? Somebody's going to win in a trade and somebody's going to get their rear ends handed to them. But Donald Rumsfeld said this. He said, hey, in combat, there are known knowns. There are things that we know. Then he said, there are known unknowns. There are things that we know we don't know. And then he ended this awesome quote with, and then there are unknown unknowns. There are things we know that, or things that we don't know that we don't know. There's beauty in that simplicity. And let me give you an example. This happened to me. And this is, you know what, this is awesome because Google announced earnings this afternoon. And folks, this is bad news. Let me get real tactical for a second. The FAANGs, all right, I'll get back to the losing trade here, man, but we're going to save time for this at the end. You ready? Because I know I asked you, you're bullish, you're bearish, or all this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get more in-depth into this tomorrow in the live trade brief because this is all trade stuff, but look at this. When we imploded, here is the, oh my God, we're going to have a trade war, and oh my God, Mark Zuckerberg is a robot cyborg who spies on everybody, which he is. The market imploded. What did I predict? Just like I nailed all this stuff, I said, folks, we're going to hit this 200-day moving average, and we're going to chop around. And then what did, rhetorical question, members, you don't have to answer. What did I say is going to save us? What is going to pull us off of this 200-day moving average? I said Q1 earnings are going to save the day. And what happened? We did look at this quote rally. Look at this stuff. Whoa. Look at this. I called this a blue collar rally. And last week, folks, right here on Wednesday in our accelerated retirement brief, what did I tell my members? As soon as we went through the 50-day moving average, I said, it's over for now. And we got long volatility last Thursday. And Thursday and Friday, what happened? The market rolled. We are in trouble. And again, this is more primary live trade brief, but when inspiration hits me, I got to tell you why. Last week, ladies and gentlemen, JP Morgan. I've been doing this for 25 years. JP Morgan's been in business since what? 18. JP Morgan has never reported earnings this good. In the history since JP Morgan, the dude was alive, they printed money. Morgan Stanley printed money. The Death Star, Goldman Sachs printed money. What happened? The market shrugged. It said, Our expectations of Q1 earnings got so high that they were so good that we actually shrugged our shoulders and went, Google's earnings weren't that good of a beat. If you were in my 1 o'clock session today, folks, what did I say? I said, if Google if Google prints money, I still think we sell off. The Google earnings ain't good, folks. The FAANG stocks, let's talk at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Let's just say, man, it is time to batten down. That you got it, Virginia. Google was up like 3% initially, and then when you listen to the call and what they were talking about, their forward guidance ain't exactly sunshine and lollipop. So why am I ranting about this? Let me get back on track here. Here's why I'm ranting, because Google, I remember doing a weekly options live trade brief on a Monday afternoon, and we put on an iron condor. Okay, an iron condor means what? You think a stock's going to stay between in a certain range. I literally go down the street. I hop on the treadmill at like 4:10, right? Market's closed. I'm going to go work out. I'm watching Comedy Central because I do watch it for the entertainment value. Breaking news. Google has changed its name to Alphabet, and the stock is up 5% in after hours trading. You know what I did? My initial reaction, I laughed. Wiz, I hear you lost $5,000 on that trade. I did, and I laughed. Why? There's no way on God's green earth I knew that after the market closed, Google was going to change their name. And if I did know that and traded on it, I'd be literally Gordon Gekko and I'd be in jail. It's illegal. So every once in a while, folks, something's going to happen to blow out a trade. But if you, this is going to sound really morbid and not that I care, to be honest with you, because this is how we lived in aviation, in naval aviation. Let me tell you something very brutal. If a buddy of mine gets killed flying the Hornet, and it's because of something he or she could have prevented or should have known about that missile site had they done their planning and everything like that, you know what? At the memorial service and at the officers club, we toast to them, but then we also whispered to each other and said, they deserved it. If somebody gets smoked and they spent hours planning and they did, and all of a sudden there was an unknown and they got smoked, we'll drink at the officers club and break stuff in their memory. Does that make sense? And you know what's funny is a lot of people in the chat box, does anybody call it Alphabet? Even the folks talking about earnings today, they had to keep checking themselves and say, oh, I mean Alphabet. The dumbest thing ever, but I lost money. So if you ever go to one of these things and the lady or the guy sitting there pounding their chest about how smart they are and, you know, to all print money, this happens, man. We have losing. Here's another example. You're going to hear this tomorrow. Let me foreshadow a little bit. In the fall, I said, get out of the FAANGs. Once the whole, oh my God, $200,000 in Russian Facebook ads swung the election, says Zuckerberg. I'm like, oh my God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I said, that's it. And does everybody remember the San Bernardino terrorist attack? Toronto, man. God bless these people in Toronto with what happened tonight. But everybody remember San Bernardino? Guy mows down a bunch of people and his wife or girlfriend. The FBI runs to Apple and says, hey, we need you to open this iPhone. We need to see if there's more attacks right now or intelligence. And what did Tim Cook say? You guys tell me what Tim Cook said when the FBI said, can you unlock this terrorist iPhone? Exactly. He said no. Privacy concerns. This is the same dude who employs 10-year-olds in China to make his phone and also puts software on their devices in China to do what? To track people, to have the government track them. This is also the dude who sat on top of a company who intentionally would slow down your phone so you'd have to upgrade it. Folks, and this is why in my email, if you guys saw this, Jeffrey Gunlock today came out and said, sell Facebook. What did and I'll show you all the recordings, folks. In the fall, I said to get out of the FAANGs. The only FAANG I said to stay in was what? Amazon. We traded the hell out of Amazon. But why am I ranting about Amazon? Because right around here, folks, I thought Amazon was the safe tech. It ain't a tech, by the way, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. What happened? What was the unknown? I had a losing trade right here. I got kicked right in the gut with Amazon. Why? Anybody know? That's exactly right, Graham. What happened right here? You got it. Thanks, folks. Somebody was drunk tweeting at like 9:25 before the market opened. Monopoly, U.S. Post Office, huge user of the post office. Going to Jeff Bezos, done. Washington Post, blah blah. I'm like, oh my God, man! Throughout the tech wreck, does that? Thanks, guys. I'm glad. All right, good. We got it. We got a good crowd, man. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. What happened during the tech wreck? Besides me trying to have the only vacation I've had in like years, skiing. During the tech wreck, I'm sending out videos and stuff to my members. I said Jeff Bezos is as quiet as a church mouse right now, didn't I? He was not saying a word. You know why? Because he was sailing through this thing fine. And then out of the blue, what happened? You know what? I'm going to add that to that slide for the next time I talk to people. What happened? Here comes Donald Trump with his Twitter account blasting Amazon. It's recovered. We made what, 2,100 bucks in a day, one day on $6,000 in risk last week, folks. But losing trades happen. Okay, that's what that rant was all about. Real quick, let me cover my Top Gun options methodology, folks, because this is the way I think. Somebody asked earlier, all right, dude, how do you outsmart the smart money? Here's part of it right here on the screen. Here is our methodology. It's called SOT, strategic, operational, and tactical. Many of you on this webinar, however many are in here, are very tactical traders. At Virginia, I don't disagree, folks. I think Donald Trump just put the U.S. Post Office out of business. Jeff Bezos ain't a dummy. A year ago, I reported to my members he did what? He leased 5 Airbus cargo planes. He's either going to buy a UPS or a FedEx, or he's going to make his own. Then where's the U.S. Post Office going to be? Nice job, Donald, or whoever said Captain Bone Spurs. So, folks, very, very tactical traders, right? You don't even know what you're doing for lunch tomorrow, let alone what you're trading or anything like that. I'm going to break you of this. You're not going to be an average retail trader. Here's what we're going to do in our brief tomorrow. I'm going to give you a strategic brief. What's going on around the world? What's going on with oil? What's going on in Syria? What's going on with North Korea? All of these macroeconomic and political, and yes, even military issues. Last October, ladies and gentlemen, you ready for this? Last October, I'm going to tell you right here, you ready for this? I was wrong. All right, well, October's aged off the radar here. Let me bring up this. I was wrong, folks. And we had a live conference out at Lake Tahoe. It was absolutely awesome. We had a blast. June 30th, folks. Once you become a member, down here in God's waiting room, we're gonna have another live event. But anyway, folks, I remember in October saying what? I said, folks, I want to be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm buying a case of Camus, which I did, out at Lake Tahoe. What did I say was going to happen in October? Now my member, yeah, that's exactly right, folks. I said. One of the benefits you get here at TGO is not only extensive business contacts do I have, but military. When I have dudes and fellow female friends who work in a big building up north or on staffs anywhere that say, hey, Wiz, thanks for teaching me how to trade options. I'm going to cash, or I'm out of everything and I'm long volatility. What did I think, based on all my intelligence gathering, was going to happen in October? Anybody know? Well, you guys know, you're members. North Korea. Folks, at one time in October, you ready for this? We had 3 CSGs. What's that, man? We had 3 carrier strike groups off of North Korea. I know for a fact, and I can, it's open knowledge. I know for a fact that we were a go in October. I'll leave it at that. China was like, holy crap, this dude ain't kidding. This guy's not. When after the election, right up the street in Palm Beach, Donald Trump met with President Xi, and he looked at him and said, "You got 100 days. You got 100 days, or I'm going to go take a baseball bat to that kid. You sit on your nephew." Oh yeah, okay, dude. Expecting him to be like all the other presidents, a lot of talk, zero action, or throw some money at North Korea. When that didn't happen, Trump picked up the phone and called President Xi and said, I'm taking him out. So here's another example of, for example, me being wrong. But this was good to be wrong because we actually called it off, right? So the moral of this, folks, is that I'm going to teach you how to use all of these things. You have got to use your thinking brain. Does anybody remember a couple years ago a little place called Greece, the Greek debt crisis? If you guys were investing, God, that seems so long ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was, remember, Greece is going to get thrown out of the Eurozone. Stock market's down 600 points. I'm like, no, they're not. Greece agrees to all these austerity measures and market rallies 600 points. I'm like, they're going to vote those down, get short. We made, you ready for this? In that Greek debt crisis, what was it, 2 months, a month and a half? We made $35,000 trading weekly options, doing the exact opposite of what the news was saying. The president of Greece, the prime minister of Greece, agrees to everything. And then all the people said, we're not going to do that. So you have to do, and if you're sitting there, Wiz, 3 years ago, I was trading Tesla and I woke up and it's down $20. Why do I care about the Greek debt situation? You need to. One of the wisdoms I'm going to teach you this week is the market only cares when it cares, right? The market only cares when it cares. I'm telling you, what happened. This is good, man. I'm having a good time. What was the main reason behind both of these? Whoa, that was way off. What caused these 2 big swings right here? Tell me, folks, what happened to cause these big swings in the market over the past 2.5 months? China and a possible trade war, right? I don't have that report up, but does everybody remember? Exactly. There you go, folks. Everybody, Larry Kudlow got hired away from CNBC to go out and essentially be the Wall Street whisperer, right? He went out during one day, like back here. Larry Kudlow was on the White House lawn in the morning and the afternoon doing what? The adults are going to talk behind the scenes. Just there will be no trade war, folks. Why am I saying this? Because the market only cares when it cares. Oh my God, there's going to be a trade war. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. Have you heard about trade war in the past couple weeks? You haven't. It's still going on, folks. We had what? Trump's threats were 6 months out. He said, I'm going to do this stuff in about 6 months if we don't get some action. So I'm saying the market only cares when it cares because you might wake up one day and on the bottom of CNBC is market's down 500 points on renewed trade war fears. There you go, Gerald. That's a great point too. And interest rate fears. Interest rates going up ain't necessarily going to be good for the stock market. So folks, tomorrow I'm going to give you a strategic brief. Way too long on that, and I apologize. So about 15 minutes tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I'm going to give you a strategic brief. Pretend you're an admiral or a general sitting in your command center and some young lieutenant. I'm going to give you the brief. Then we're going to get operational and peel back the onion a little bit, and we're going to talk operationally about what's going on here. What's going on with the Fed? What are the Fed funds futures rates saying? How's unemployment looking? How's the Chicago PMI? New housing? We're going to get operational and look here in the States. How are earnings looking? It looks like it's going to be a sell on the news. I told you, if we didn't rally during that blue collar climb off the 200-day moving average a couple weeks ago, Q1 earnings are going to save us. They didn't. The banks printed money, folks. So we're going to talk about the U.S. And then finally, you ready for this? Now we're going to trade. So during my live trade briefs, folks, and obviously it's at night, the market's closed, I'm giving you who I am and our background. Then we can trade, right? So Does this? Hopefully, I'm answering the one gentleman's question. I should have wrote your name down. SOT. We finally trade down here. You don't get into one of my live trade briefs and go, okay, folks, here's a Tesla trade. What? Don't we have to talk about what's going on around the world? Yes. And the United States? Yes. And then it's kind of like a funnel, folks. This is where you get your trade ideas from. Okay, there's what, 2,500 optionable stocks out there in ETFs. How do you pick them? I'm going to show you. Reason number two why to do this, to listen to me, is because, like I said and alluded to, we nailed the FAANGs. I'm going to show you all of this stuff tomorrow, folks. We said, look at this. In politics versus tech profits, investors are the losers. Okay? This, and we're going to talk about all this stuff tomorrow. Buy oil, short Facebook. Who was it? Graham or somebody else earlier said, you damn right, I love ExxonMobil. I think energy earnings are going to be phenomenal. ExxonMobil has gotten off the mat. Look at this climb schedule. What a nice, good climb schedule. So we're going to talk about energy earnings, folks. But now, Jeffrey Gunlock is my spirit animal, folks. Why? Because he and I predicted, one of the few people to, and it's funny because he manages $100 million assets under management. People, I got mine, folks. Here's a lot of people say, well, Wiz, why aren't you doing that? I did all that stuff, man. In the military, you're taught when you make it, you put the ladder down, folks. You put the ladder down. You help people. One of the reasons I hated Wall Street, well, offense intended to some people on Wall Street, they pulled the ladder up, man. I got mine. But I enjoy this. I love teaching. But folks, now I told you months ago to sell Facebook. Men lie, numbers don't. Let's take a look at Analyze Your Trade from last Thursday. Analyze Your Trade is every Thursday at 1 o'clock. What did we do? Right here. Look at this Facebook. You ready? Facebook right here. New Facebook bear call spread. This trade expired on Friday. John, Wednesday we're going to do weekly options. Tomorrow is more of the front months and also out to maybe January of 2020. So Wednesday's weekly options. But look at this trade, folks. This one was when? April 12th. So this is the April 12th. Analyze your trade. We had a win position on. You ready for this, folks? We had a win iron condor that expired for a max profit of about 4,500 bucks, and also a repair trade, which we'll get into. But check this out. New Facebook bear call spread on April 12th. What did I do? The 167.5, 170 bear call spread. This means, and if you don't know what a bear call spread is, you're home. Don't worry about it. This is just an intro tonight. But this was me saying, hey, by Friday, last Friday, Facebook ain't going to be above 167.5. I said this stock is done. I'm going to tell you tomorrow all about Facebook, but look at this. We risked right around my SOP. 5,400 bucks. This trade expired Friday at the closing bell for a max profit of $2,000. We had a hell of a week last week. I think it was like 13 or 14 grand in gains. Look at Facebook. Where's Facebook? This thing, and no offense to my PETA, if you're a pet lover, this is a Wall Street term. It's called a dead cat bounce. When something implodes like this and does that, it's called a dead cat bounce. Okay, so implosion, dead. This ain't a good looking chart. Okay, there's 167.5. It didn't go above that. $2,000 profit on risk of 5,200 bucks. Isn't this awesome? Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Folks, you're going to see tomorrow. If you gave me, if when you filled in this page right here, everybody, this should look familiar. If you entered your cell phone number during our live trade briefs this week on Tuesday and Wednesday, I send, just like you remember, I'm going to send out a text alert that says, hey, I'm opening this or closing this or anything like that. So Chris, 80% of our members work for a living. They watch the replays, but you're going to be sitting in death by meeting at work or something like. See, here it is, folks. During the live trading session tomorrow at 1 o'clock, when we find a trade, I shoot out a text alert. And then I follow up with an email with this, a screenshot of the trade. There's the actual trade. And then here's a screenshot of the risk, right? And then at the bottom of the page is what? the replay. See, you press play right here, guys. So I'm going to show you quotes from some of our current members. Clint has been here 3 years, and I think he said he watched me live one time. He gets the text alerts, he gets this, and he watches the replays just because of his work schedule. So whoever, your name went flying by. Whoever asked that, you absolutely can. Peter, I better be done by 8:30. I better be done in about 5 minutes, man, because I only wanted to go an hour and 15 minutes. This is what I wanted to do real quick. So I'm gonna show you tomorrow. These are the sectors that we're targeting. So give me 5 more minutes, folks, and then we'll wrap up. Write this down. Or you know what's cool? I forgot to brief this. Somewhere on your little control panel right here, there's a little camera looking thing. And if you click on it, it captures what's on the screen at that moment. Because if you've been furiously scribbling, taking notes, that's I apologize. I should have briefed that at the beginning. Everybody see that little camera? You can take a screenshot of that. Okay, so but here, and this would be one of those you'd want to. We're going to target the financials for the rest of the year because, as somebody said, Jerome Powell, the new Fed chief, interest rates are going to go up, folks. So yes, the banks last week had disgustingly good blowout earnings, and we kind of shrugged our shoulders. The market's going to remember that eventually, and notice I didn't say if, when the Fed starts raising interest rates, the financial folks, they ain't. Remember in the old days, 5% CD and you get a free toaster. If you went into a bank today to open a CD, they'd probably hit you in the head with that, the dusty toaster, because they need interest rates to be higher to make a little bit more money. We're going to target the financials. We're going to target energy, defense. Somebody said earlier, folks, this has been a Gordon Gekko trade, man. I think my last calculation, since we placed our Raytheon long call diagonal, this position, folks, is up. You ready for this? I'm going to spitball here. It's up at least 550%. This is a Jan 20 position. We got into Raytheon right here. Look at this climb schedule in Raytheon. So I'm gonna show you the right there's when we got into Raytheon. Look at this thing. We got in right around, what was that, 180, and it's a $230 stock. It's a sleeper stock. I'm gonna rock on Raytheon. Exactly, Dan. I'm gonna teach you why you want to be in Raytheon real quick, folks. Boeing, Lockheed, folks. I flew it was McDonnell Douglas. I flew a Boeing F-18. Why aren't you long Boeing stock, folks? I'm not long Boeing. I'm not long Lockheed Martin. I'm not long Northrop Grumman. You want to be long Raytheon. You ready for this? Because it's in all of those stocks. Boeing got hammered on this trade war. China, I'm not buying Boeing. They got hammered on the aluminum and the steel. Oh my God, these airplanes are going to be so expensive. Raytheon is the electronics. I sat behind a Raytheon product for 15 years. Probably explains why I'm a little weird, but I sat behind a Raytheon radar for 15 years, folks. Raytheon's the gut of defenses, Patriot missiles. Anybody see a couple weeks ago, Saudi Arabia, one of those Patriot missiles launched, and it was like a cartoon, like Wile E. Coyote. It turned right around and crashed, and stock went up. So, wow. Kevin, I know folks, and Kevin, I hope you don't mind this. Kevin, look at this. Kevin, he's a lifetime member. Kevin is up 1,900%. And you can see the time, folks. I just took this screenshot. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. Not only do we just go long calls here, we trade the front months. We sell upside calls. We do bull put spreads, folks. I'm going to teach you how to do this. This is absolutely incredible. Jeff, let me show people what Jeff just said. Wiz, I just got into Raytheon a month ago, and it's look at this, folks. So Jeff is a newer member. So for all of you who are like me, like, oh, you should have been here yesterday. The waves were 10 feet and we had 10 feet of powder. I wasn't here yesterday. Jeff got here not yesterday, a couple months ago. He's up 120% in this Raytheon position. All right, that's way too much on Raytheon. What I was getting into is I'll tell you how many trades are on at a time and how many is good for an average trader tomorrow. That's a very good question. I get into that tomorrow. So defense, you need to be in an entertainment or what I call a sin stock. The transports. You ready for this, folks? We have about two more things to cover, and then we're going to wrap it up because I need to study for tomorrow. Here's our transport trade, folks. Anybody see CSX? Easy for me to say last week. This stock is going to the moon, Alice. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, he's going to do what? Infrastructure spending, man. Railroads, was it the three R's? Railroads, roads, what is it? Riff, reading is fundamental. I forget what all the R's are, folk. All I care is about there's one R, and one of them is railroads. There's folks. So CSX is my railroad, and then we're going to talk about. You ready for this? And somebody, one of my members, already alluded to this. Is my Captain Kirk trade? Everybody remember? We all grew up watching Star Trek, and even if you didn't, you know what I'm talking about. Remember the beginning of Star Trek? We're going to boldly go where no man has gone before. Listen to me real quick and we'll wrap up on this, and I'll take a couple questions if I missed any. You ready for this? Stevie Cohen, Ken Griffin, Warren Buffett, who's the other activist investor? All these 500-pound heads, the quote smart money folks, they didn't get uber rich by doing what? By following you. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I mean that in a, where they go? They go where nobody is right now, right? Whether it's, and here are some of, what I call my Captain Kirk trades, right? Is like a Brazil or a China or a Russia, an RSX. We have a bunch of Captain Kirk trades where we just say, it is, we're boldly going where nobody's going. I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's and we jokingly call it a Captain Kirk trade. For example, Brazil. What happened in Brazil recently? Brazil showed us a little bit about democracy, right, and holding people accountable. Their supreme, a lower court. We had a bull put spread on the EWZ. Write that symbol down. EWZ. Okay, or actually, let me go to the next page because I show you some of the symbols. Duh. Hold on. Right here. So Brazil, a couple months, we've been in EWZ for a while. The World Cup, the Olympics, great reasons to get bullish. We've had a great time trading the EWZ. But what happened recently? A lower court about 3 months ago said what? Lula, 2 presidents ago, can go to jail for 15 years. EWZ had a rip your face off rally. A couple weeks ago, what happened? The Supreme Court ruled, yeah, the dude can go to jail. He ain't above us. Isn't this awesome? EWZ. And like I said, we're going to talk about many of these names this week. So here are my positions. I'm going to show you all this stuff tomorrow. Like I said, live in the market. We're going to have a great time. JP Morgan is my financial man. I used to be a Goldman Sachs guy, man. 10, 15 years I traded Goldman Sachs. I think Lloyd Blankfein is an idiot. What was it, guys? 8 months ago, I said Goldman Sachs is dead money. Lloyd Blankfein got a Twitter account like 8 months ago when I told you to get out of Goldman Sachs. And what did he do for the first week he had his Twitter account? He trolled President Trump. That dude's earnings sucked for the past year and a half. And all of a sudden he gets a Twitter account. I'm like, I tweeted to him, not that he cared or listened to me. I said, hey, Lloyd, why don't you spend less time on Twitter trolling the president and more time in your FIC, which is FICC, right? Fixed income, currency, and commodity trading. And guess what happened? Dick Beauvais, famed investor Dick Beauvais, about 4 months ago did what? Kind of like Jeffrey Gundlach did today with Facebook. They're about 3 to 4 months behind me, guys. Dick Beauvais came out 4 months ago and said, sell Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein needs to resign. He sucks. What happened a month ago? Lloyd Blankfein said, I'm probably going to exit. Why did I rant about that? Because I'm a Jamie Dimon guy. We like JP Morgan, ExxonMobil as our energy, Raytheon as our defense. Amazon, it ain't a tech, folks. They use tech. It's a services company, but you can call that your tech. We have a SIN stock. We have a Captain Kirk trade, and this is an old trade. Or an old slide. Do not go near that thing down here. It's also over with for this thing. Will they be around in 2 years? Of course they will. But this is we don't go in dead money. What do I mean by that? So if you take a look at a chart of Facebook for the past, when I told you to get out of it 6 months ago, Facebook has gone down about $10. Amazon's gone through the moon. So you could have made money in the front months by doing spreads and stuff. That's blue collar work. So actually, let me do this right now so I don't forget, because this should not be on the slide. That's a bad pre-flight for me. Let me get rid of this. Nope. Do not. Apple's done. Any company who's now, let me end on this, and I'll take some questions here. Any company who purposefully slows down their cell phones to force you to upgrade, I love that company. Wearing a flight suit, though, as an American, I think that's awful. I just think that's dirty and it's gross. As a Gordon Gekko and as a guy, I think that's great. But we'll talk about the FAANGs tomorrow, guys. But you know what? Let me throw this in the chat box. I want you to, here's your homework. Read this article tonight. Okay? This really was a maker. This one, what's the date on this one? This is February, guys. I told you in October, November, and December to bail out of the FAANGs. One Zuckerberg, I thought they were all about privacy, right? We're not going to turn over our advertisers or anything like that. Oh my God, the Russians spent 200 grand and made 63 million people vote for, Trump. I'm like, those people are mental. These limousine liberals are going to they're going to implode under the weight of their own hubris. What happened when the Facebook scandal broke, folks? I told you what Jeff Bezos did. He didn't say a word. What did Tim Cook say right around here? I don't know what the hell's going on over at Facebook, but we don't do any of that stuff here at Apple. We don't data and store. And I'm like, what the hell's in the cloud? Snow and rain? The cloud? You guys, of course Apple does all this stuff. But watching Zuckerberg and Cook watching limousine liberals eat each other alive I was choking on popcorn for like the past month, laughing. Because back here, I told you, get out of every FAANG except Amazon. But I admitted my mistake tonight, right, folks? But I told you before we got into Amazon and got super long, I said, what did Jeff Bezos say during the campaign? When Trump was one of 16 candidates, you know what he said at a conference, at a tech conference? He said, Donald Trump, I would put that guy on one of my rockets and blast him out into space. And then, did you see his tweet on election night at like 4 a.m? Congratulations, Mr. President-elect. So when you say you want to blow a dude in outer space and then that guy becomes president, I did warn, even though I said, hey, all the FAANGs are done. Zuckerberg needs to resign. The stock's dead. Recently, Elon Musk joking about being bankrupt. I'm like, that stock's dead. I said Amazon will be okay. And last week it was. The all clear sounded on Amazon, and we made $2,100. But that one day, when Trump decided to pound on Amazon, he's a golden retriever, folks. There's a shiny red ball that bounces by and he runs after it. Will he come back and bash Bezos? Yeah, he ain't putting him out of business. So we printed money on Amazon, but I got kicked in the teeth a little bit on that couple trades there. So and then that's I'll admit that. Okay, folks, I went over by 7 minutes, and I apologize about that because that was. All of that needed to be covered. Now, this is what's cool is you're not going to hear just about any of that stuff again, right? This was more or less a one-time. Like I said, I didn't cover half that stuff. That's good. So you're really not going to, let me save this stuff. If you came in late or anything like this, please watch the replay because I want to spend most of my time tomorrow in this and putting some trades on. We're going to take a look at Facebook. We're going to take a look at Amazon, and we're also going to either in tomorrow's session or Wednesday's session take a look at a Jan 20 trade. And it most likely, if you want to do your homework, it's going to be on Raytheon. Kevin's up 1,900%. Kevin, when did you get into Amazon Raytheon when we did like 4 or 5 months ago? And then one of our newer members said he's up in a month 109 November. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So Bill, really enjoyed this. Wiz will not be able to see you trade tomorrow. We'll be recording. Yes, guys. So here, go to save this page right now. Go dot OW. It's this. You ready for this? Is going to be shocking. OWS replay. It should be a blank page right now, or it's going to be. So you see this, folks? This is just a placeholder. This is like the last time. So this page, let me put the link in here, is where I'm going to go, get a glass of wine or something like that and relax, as it takes about 30 minutes for these videos, maybe 20 minutes to render. I upload them. So in about, call it 30 minutes to an hour, the replay is going to be on this page. But every replay tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and also Wednesday are going to be on this page. Oh, that's a good one, Kevin. So Kevin also was one of my folks who said, you know what, I'm going to listen to Wiz about Amazon. Look at Kevin's returns on Amazon right here. His Amazon synthetic stock position is up 300%. This is folks, this trade, it has a couple years to work and it's already up 300%. So whoever asked earlier, hey man, how can you outsmart the smart money? It's by using our thinking brain, man. This ain't rocket surgery. Hopefully we've gotten to know each other a little bit better tonight. I ain't nothing to write home about, folks. I use my brain. We're going to look at volatility. We're going to look at fundamentals. We'll look at technical analysis. We're going to Folks, you need a radar, man. You need to have everything on your radar. Folks who just trade technical analysis or just fundamentals or just this, they they ain't as good. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. So again, you bet, Virginia. Thank you. It was an honor. So again, now I'm rambling. I went over by 10 minutes. That means at the live event in June down here, if you guys decide to come down, I will buy everybody a nice some Camus for us to drink and get to know each other better down there. Okay, so listen to me. We're gonna have a great rest of next couple days. The flight schedule is on this page. Let me put this in the chat box as well, just so, hey, Wiz, what time tomorrow? A lot of people chiming in saying they had a great time tonight. It's good. For the folks who are chiming in saying, how do you become a member? I don't talk about any of that stuff until probably tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, after the training session or maybe before, we're going to open probably 25 memberships. As I said, and I'm trying not to be rude, there's like stuff flying by. We keep our squadron nice, tight. We have people who have been friends for about 8 years here at TGO. It's a very, very close, tight-knit squadron. So thank you for honoring me with how do I become a member tonight type of stuff. But this is get to know me a little bit better. See me trade first. This is awesome. You bet, Mark. All right, folks. Harry, I'm just in time to hear about the Camus. Hell yeah, exactly, Harry. Harry and I had a great time out in Lake Tahoe, and we drank our fair share of Camus and had some nice cigars. So, folks, hopefully you had a good time tonight. You learned a little bit about me, my background, how I went essentially from the cockpit, poor kid from South Jersey, to essentially running one of the largest, help run one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms in the United States. So it was a blast. It's been a blast. I'm absolutely passionate about what I do, and I'm absolutely passionate about teaching you how to do this, man. I firmly believe in the whole, I'm not going to throw fish at you, folks. If you're just sitting there and give me trade ideas, Wiz, you're in the wrong place. I do that, but learn how to fish. And I'm literally going to finish with this. The greatest metric of my success, folks, isn't you being here for 8 years. We have fish I didn't see in here tonight. We have folks that have been here for. We do have an 8-year member, but with 4, 5, 6 years. It's not because they haven't learned. It's because we have a great camaraderie. They love to trade ideas, and they've made some really good friends, even virtually. In some of our trade briefs, folks, we use Go to Training. If it's under 200 people, we have like 190 in Accelerated Retirement. Everybody can see each other's chat, and they've become friends. My greatest metric of success is in a couple years from now, you emailing me saying, Wiz, I'm going back to the fleet. I got it. You don't go to Top Gun forever. I went to Top Gun for what, six months? I got smart, and I went back to my fleet squadron, and I taught my squadron mates. My biggest metric of success is you guys leaving a year, 2 years from now and saying, Wiz, I'm going to put this patch on my shoulder. I'm going out to the fleet. I got it. But you know what? I'm going to tell my buddies about you, okay? So that's exactly right, Dan. Let me show you what Dan said. Dan, and I'll show you our online forum where you guys, all these folks interact. They help each other with trade ideas and stuff like that. The other traders here are the best. I learned from everyone. Thanks, Dan, for saying that. So, all right, folks, rambling complete. 1300 tomorrow, 1 o'clock East Coast. We're going to be in the primary live trade brief. Take a look at Facebook, take a look at Amazon, take a look at Raytheon. We're going to cover a front month trade and maybe a Jan 20 trade. And then on Wednesday, even though it says weekly options here, I got to talk to you about that Tredge. We need to get long volatility because as you look at this chart, man, the VIX, something's going to happen in the next couple of weeks to freak this market out. I just briefed you on a lot of what it could be. I don't know what's going to be. I just feel it in my bones. After almost flying 3,000 hours in a Hornet, you feel stuff, right? You feel the airplane when it's working and ain't working. We need to get long volatility and hedge. So, all right, guys. Love the political rants. If you become a member, you're going to hear a lot of them, whether you agree or not. And I love disagreement too, man. We have a good banter here. So have a great rest of your night. I'll get the replay posted as soon as I can. Going to hang out with the kids for a little bit. I'll get the replay posted, and I'll see everybody tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern in this live trade room. You'll get a link. It'll get emailed to you automatically, I think like an hour or 2 hours before the event, so don't freak out if you don't get it. And if you can't attend, you're either going to get a text alert live during the brief with the trades, or you can watch the replay. Okay, folks, have a great rest of your night. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. And I'll see many of you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock, or I'll see you on the replay. Welcome aboard Top Gun Options and our Options Weapons School. Good night. We'll see you.